Take it away.
All right, everyone, welcome. I think we are set up and ready to go. So we are broadcasting both on Zoom and on Facebook. So welcome for all of my Facebook friends that are usually here for my weekly Facebook broadcast. It happens on Wednesdays, but today we're here on Thursday so that we could go live on 2 platforms. So before we get started, I'd love for you guys to tell me where you're watching from and say hello. So if you're watching from Facebook, please in the comments, tell me where you're watching from, and we'll do some shout outs a little later on. And if you're on Zoom, you can also chat it to us and we'll do some shout outs as well. So always love to see who's watching. All right, so today it's all about the teachers. And I know we can't believe back to school is happening already, but it is. My daughter goes back the 2nd week of August, which is so early, but it's time to think about our teachers. So maybe we have some teachers watching today. If we are, make sure you tell us in the chat or the comments. We love to shout out our teachers. And this is something you can make for your classroom door, or parents, this could make a great gift for your child's teacher. So let me show you what we're going to end up with at the end of the broadcast. So we are going to be making this teacher wreath, and Miss Dia was my daughter's teacher last year, and it's a chalkboard, so you can also erase as well. So let's go ahead and get started. There's a good amount of materials that you'll need for this, so we're just going to go through those as we make it. But the 2 main things that you will need, and we can go ahead and switch over to the top-down camera so you guys can get a good look at all the supplies. Perfect. So you're going to need a Wreath Form and a chalkboard. So you can pick up both of these at Michael's. This is a 12, I believe a 12-inch. Let's double check that because I've got a ruler here handy. Yep, it's a 12-inch Wreath Form, and it's a flat one as well. So you can kind of see it's flat, and these do come in different sizes. So if you want to make a bigger one, you can. And then you're going to need a chalkboard. There are a couple different options. I wanted to show you another one that is available as well. So either of these chalkboards work. And you can kind of substitute things as we go through it. We're going to get back to our Wreath Form later on, but we're going to start with our chalkboard. And one of the fun things that we're going to do is we're going to incorporate some supplies. So I've just got some regular old number 2 pencils here. So we're going to get out some pencils. We've got some crayons. So I'm going to pull out some crayons, and we're going to use these as decoration. And then I've also got some markers handy and some letters. So I've got this whole set, which I love because I use wood letters for a lot of things, and this will last you forever. But there are different options where you can get individual letters at Michael's. But we're going to do different letters of the alphabet. So A, B, C, D, E, and F. And we'll get started with our letters first. So you'll want to grab your markers. And I like using markers for this because it's less messy. So I'm just using my Crayola markers. Any marker will really work. And I'm going to color my letter. You can also paint these, but the nice part about markers is that they are instantly done. All right, Hope, do we have some shout outs while I'm coloring?
We do. We have Bonnie watching from Arizona.
Hi, Bonnie from Arizona. And is Bonnie watching on Facebook or Zoom?
I believe Facebook.
All right. Hey, Bonnie, thanks for tuning in.
Also Tanya from Illinois.
Hi, Tanya from Illinois.
Elaine from Virginia.
Hi, Elaine from Virginia.
Norma from Texas.
Hi, Norma from Texas.
And Carmen from Texas.
Hi, Carmen from Texas. All right, friends, if you haven't told me where you're watching from yet, whether you're watching on Zoom or on Facebook, we still want to hear from you. Okay, so I colored some of these ahead of time. Now I'll tell you guys, we've got about 30 minutes to do this project. So I've done a few of the steps, but these are things that you can always come back and do if you're crafting along with me. But we've got all of our letters spread out here, just colored them with different color markers. Okay, so really easy. And these are also things that if you are making this for your child's teacher, or if you're a teacher and you're making this for your door and you've got kids, this is something that the kids can get in on and have some fun making with you. Okay, remember we've got these pencils. So we're gonna take our pencils and we are gonna glue our pencils to our frame. And we're gonna leave our frame raw. You'll notice the pencils, if they're fully sharpened, they'll fit right up on that little ledge. I'm gonna bring this up so you guys can see it. So they may overlap a little bit on the ledge, totally fine. If your pencils are not right out of the box, they'll probably fit even better if you may have used them. So I'm gonna take some hot glue and just do a nice little hot glue line right along that edge, making sure that the majority of my pencil connects with that hot glue. And I'm gonna do the same thing down here, okay? And you can do this same technique with any of the chalkboard bases that you can find at Michael's. And then I'm gonna show you a different sample at the end if you do get the other chalkboard. All right, so we got our pencils glued in. And next, we're gonna take our crayons. So pick out your favorite colors. Your kids can pick out their favorite colors. We're gonna need 6. Okay, so we're gonna do 3 on each side. Don't forget, if we got teachers watching, tell us, chat it to us on Zoom, what grade you teach, or if you're on Facebook, post it in the comments so we can say hello to you, because we love our teachers. I know having a child, how important it is, having an amazing teacher that affects my child's learning, her development. So we are very thankful for teachers. All right, so what we're gonna do with our crayons, a little bit of hot glue on the back, and we're gonna glue them to each corner. And you can choose which direction you want them to go, but we're gonna line them up, and you can coordinate colors as you see fit. I just kind of grabbed 3 of my primaries out of my crayon box. All right, lining those guys up on that corner. And then we're gonna line these up on this corner. And you wanna make sure you kind of look at them so they're about at the same kind of angle and placement on each side. You get just a second of work time if you're using hot glue. You can use any other type of glue as well. I'm just using hot glue because it dries quickly, but you could even use a washable kids glue if the kids are helping you. Okay, so check it out. We're getting there. Our sign is almost done. All right, so now before we add our letters, we're gonna take a chalk marker. So I've got a chalk marker. This one's by Marby. These ones come in a 3-pack, and they also sell them in singles. So I have the finer tip and then the larger chisel tips as well that came with this. When I am using my chalk markers, I always just make sure I've got craft paper down, but make sure that it is working nicely. And then we are going to go ahead and just write the teacher name. I'm going to write Miss Dia again, but while I'm writing, Hope, do we have some shout outs?
We do. We have Judy watching from New York.
Hi, Judy from New York.
And they're watching on Zoom.
Okay, Judy is watching on Zoom.
On Zoom, we also have Christy watching from Texas.
Hi, Christy from Texas, watching via Zoom.
Back on Facebook, we have Ann watching from Georgia.
Ann from Georgia, and I am in Atlanta. We are neighbors.
And we also have Michelle watching from Ohio.
Hi, Michelle from Ohio. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so I'm just going to go back and stick in some of my lines. Remember with chalk marker, it is erasable. I'll give you a little tip. If you do plan to write something on a chalkboard, specifically with chalk marker, it comes off a lot easier and cleaner if you take a wet paper towel and you dampen your chalkboard first before writing on it, and you let it like 99% dry. You want it to be just like 1% still wet before you write on it. Your chalk marker will come off much easier if you are trying to erase your board. So just a little tip. I've done a lot of chalk marker projects before and have learned that is the best way to do it. Okay, so we've got our teacher's name on here, and then we're going to take our letters and we're going to space these out around our frame, kind of do it any way we want. We can mix up our letters, and you can choose any letters. You could even spell something out if you wanted to spell out some simple words like cat or dog. You can do that. So lots of possibilities in that letter set. This one right here, you get, I believe it's almost about 4 to 5 of each letter. So if you do a lot of crafting where you need wood letters, it's a good deal. Otherwise, Michael's has quite a few different options where you can get smaller packs of letters, or you can get individuals, all in the raw wood section, or you can find it online as well. Okay, so we're going to glue on our E and our C. Okay, and then we have one more thing to do to get our frame ready. So one of the things that we got to do is figure out how we're going to eventually attach this to our wreath. So there is a back to this. Okay, and I still have my tag on here. I originally cut off my strings that were on there because I knew I wasn't going to use them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some floral wire. I've got some silver floral wire here, and this is 22 gauge, but really any gauge will work. And I'm going to glue strips of it here and here, so it will make it easy for me to put it on my wreath. So I'm going to take a pretty long piece, and I've got some floral cutters here. All right, and we're going to cut 2 of these. I do it longer than I think just because I would rather have more than not enough, especially when we get all the things on our wreath, because we're going to put that on last. So we want to make sure that we have enough length to reach the back of the wreath. Okay. And you can straighten these out as much as possible. It'll help with the gluing process. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our glue and put a lot of it on each side. Okay. So, and I'm going to set my wire right down into my glue. And don't burn your fingers, okay? Don't have crafter fingers like I do. I can touch it because I almost have no fingerprints, probably because I have burned my fingers so many times. And then I put some hot glue over it to encase the whole wire so that it, just to double check that it doesn't pop up. All right, so I'm going to glue this side. While I'm doing that, Hope, do we have some people to say hello to?
We do. We have Denise in Texas.
Hi, Denise in Texas.
Carla watching from Arkansas.
Hi, Carla, who's watching from Arkansas.
Jackie in Virginia.
Hi, Jackie in Virginia.
Spencer in Iowa.
Hi, Spencer from Iowa.
And Kathy from North Carolina.
Hi, Kathy from North Carolina. Thanks for tuning in, friends. Okay, so we can put some of these supplies aside. So we'll put our crayons aside and our chalk marker. And now we're going to leave this set until that glue hardens. Since we put a lot of hot glue on there, it's going to take a few minutes till it's completely dry. So I'm going to put this right here or right now, so it's out of our way. Okay. And then we're going to come over to our wreath form. So remember, we are using, if you tuned in late, we're using a 12-inch flat wreath form. You can make it smaller or larger. There are a variety of sizes available at Michael's. Give us a little more space here. So for our first step, I want to wrap it just in case you're going to be able to see it through any of the decorations I put on it. I want it to match the colors that I'm using. So I've got some Celebrate It ribbon here. It is 1.5 inches. There's about 4 yards, and it is wired ribbon. So I've got a yellow polka dot. You can choose whatever colors you like. You guys know you're obviously Michael's fan, so you know there are a ton of ribbon options available. So you can pick whatever colors. I kind of wanted to stay in my primaries for the classroom. So what I'm going to do is I am going to wrap my wreath form with my ribbon. And I'm just going to slightly do it at an angle to cover the entire thing. You can, if you're afraid you're going to let it go as you're wrapping, you can add glue as you go, but I am going to try and get as much of it wrapped as possible without adding glue in between, just for time's sake. But if you want to let it go where you need to step away and do something else, just add a dot of glue to hold it in place, and then you can continue to wrap as you go. Hope, do we have any questions, any shout outs, any teachers while I'm wrapping so we can keep everyone entertained?
Yep, we have Stephanie, who is a 2nd grade teacher in New Jersey.
Okay, so we've got Stephanie, who teaches 2nd grade in New Jersey. Stephanie, thank you so much for being an awesome teacher.
Trina also teaches 1st grade in California.
Okay, so we have Trina, who teaches, what'd you say? What grade?
1st grade.
1st grade in California. So Trina, thank you for being a teacher.
We have lots of viewers watching from Canada.
Oh, we've got our Canadian viewers. We love Canada. Canada is on my bucket list of places to go. My husband loves Montreal. I want to go to Canada. So one of these days.
All right, we also have Debbie watching from Michigan.
Hey, Debbie from Michigan.
Angie from Ohio.
Hey, Angie from Ohio.
Peyton from Wisconsin watching on Zoom.
Hey, Peyton from Wisconsin watching on Zoom.
And Tammy from Utah.
Hey, Tammy from Utah. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so what I'm actually going to do, I'm getting really twisted here. So if you do get really twisted, it may help if I'm going to cut and then just keep wrapping. So when you keep going round and round, the ribbon gets a little twisted, especially with the wire, and you don't want it to get too twisted. So if that happens, just snip it. And we're actually not going to see a lot of this base. So it's not a big deal if we see any seams, right? It'll just make your life a little bit easier versus it getting so twisted, right? So we're going to keep going and we'll try and get our twist out. If anyone tuned in late and you may be wondering what we are making a classroom wreath. So teachers that are watching, this is a great idea for you. Parents, I bet your teachers would love it if they got this as a gift. I know that I'm excited to give, even though it was Lily's last year teacher, Miss Dia, this wreath. We loved her so much, her 3K teacher, that we are going to give it to her. And as a reminder, those of you that tuned in late, you may be saying, wait, I missed the chalkboard portion. Facebook, you will instantly, about a minute or two afterwards, be able to watch the replay. And on Zoom, give it about 24 to 48 hours, and Michaels will have it posted on the michaels.com/classes page, as well as, I believe, YouTube. So you'll be able to watch the replay. But Facebook, friends that are watching, or if you're watching on Zoom and you need to go back and see it right now, you can pretty much instantly see it when the broadcast ends, and you can fast forward and rewind as you see fit. All right, so we got to the end. Thanks for bearing with me there. All right, and we're going to snip this up. Okay, so now to get our wreath nice and poofy and fun, we're going to use some more ribbon. So I've got some pieces already cut here. I've got some black and white polka dots, some orange and white, and then I've also got some red and white that we're going to cut. And then I'll save any of my extra yellow that I have to use that as well. And then we've got some Deco Mesh. I chose polka dots for all my ribbon to kind of stay in the same palette, but you can use whatever you would like. I kept one of these in the packaging so you could see it. Celebrate it, and it's mesh, and it's the 5.5 inch, and there is 45 feet on here. So this is really great for wreaths. There are a variety of different colors, as you can see. And then we're going to use, you can use two things. You want to use pipe cleaners. You can use pipe cleaners to attach it, or you can use floral wire. Whatever you would like is up to you. You really will not see these, so it does not matter what color they are. So I've got some of my mesh already cut to save us some time. So if you are doing this along with me, keep in mind, this is kind of the portion that will probably take you a little bit longer because you do have to cut all the pieces. So this is something you can continue to do when we're done. So we've got all these things here together and an option. So I want to give you this option. If you've got some extra rulers, you can also add some rulers. If you're going to add the rulers, now would be the time to do it to make your life easy. When I was making the sample, I decided to add my rulers on last minute, and it was a little bit hard to get them kind of behind all the stuff we glued on. So what I did was I just glued two of them together, okay, in a somewhat of an X, a little bit wider on the top. And then we do the same thing down here. So this is if you want to add rulers. These are just the standard Artist Loft rulers available at Michael's. There's also some plastic colored ones if you want to use those as well, all together, so you can choose whatever you think is going to match best. So if you're adding your rulers, glue them together, and then you want to place them underneath and kind of decide how you want them to pop out. And once you decide that, put some hot glue on that top one that's going to touch, and we'll lift that up real quick, and we'll let that set. Okay, so it's easier if you decide you want to do it before you put all the things on. All right, so you want to cut your pieces of Deco Mesh And these pieces are a little bit longer than 12 inches. I'll tell you exactly. They're about 14 to 15 inches long, enough so that they will kind of pop off and create some great dimension on our wreath. So what I do is instead of tying these to here, because when you tie them, they don't stay that taut. So you want to either take a pipe cleaner, or you can also use your floral wire. And again, any color pipe cleaners will work because you'll get this wreath full enough that you will not even see the pipe cleaners. And we're going to tie these on. So all we do is we put them, and make sure my rulers are still setting, but we tie it and twist it around the back. So I'm going to lift it up so you guys can see that. And just do a twist. We will go back at the end. You would go back and kind of clip off and trim any of your pipe cleaners. So we're going to do this with a bunch of different colors of Deco Mesh. So I'm going to grab some red. And then remember, we've also got some ribbon that is cut as well. And we're going to fill in with our ribbon. And we want to get it as full as we can. So I'm going to alternate around with blue, white, and purple. But again, there are a ton of different color options. So you can pick whatever you think your teacher will like, or if you're a teacher, whatever's going to match your classroom theme. All right, so Hope, do we got some shout outs while I'm tying on some Deco Mesh?
We do. We have Carol watching from South Dakota.
Hi, Carol from South Dakota.
Riza watching from Texas.
Hi, Riza watching from Texas. Riza, I love your name. It's so different. I love it.
Angela from Georgia.
Oh, we got Angela from Georgia. Angela, you are my neighbor. I am here in Atlanta.
Enid from Indiana.
Hi, Enid from Indiana.
Francis from Arizona.
Hey, Francis from Arizona.
Loretta from North Carolina.
Hey, Loretta from North Carolina.
Tammy from Pennsylvania.
We got Tammy from Pennsylvania. Hey, Tammy, let me tell you, I don't know where you're at in Pennsylvania, but I was born in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So I don't know if you were close to that.
Desiree is a pre-K teacher in New York.
Oh, we've got Desiree, who is a pre-K teacher in New York. Desiree, thank you so much for being a teacher. We appreciate you.
We also have Terry watching from Louisiana.
Hi, Terry from Louisiana.
And Kat watching from Peru.
Hey, Kat from Peru. I love it when we get international viewers. That is awesome. All right, so what I am doing is I am going around my wreath with my Deco Mesh, okay? And we're going to keep filling in. So I've got quite a few pieces cut here, and then we'll start to add some ribbon. So the name of this game when you're doing this is just figuring out how full you want it to be. So it's up to you. I like mine pretty full so that you don't see much of the base and that you don't really see the center, because I want it to be super full for my sign to go on the center. And you may need to trim some of your Deco Mesh if you find some of the pieces are too long. And as you're going, curl them. So you kind of curl them in to your wreath, or curl them out if you want them to come. That will kind of help you fill it in as you go. Looks like we need some blue, and it's just balancing your colors. All right, so next we're going to take some ribbon. I want to know from my teachers here, I know that decorating your classroom door is a big, big deal. Or doing your bulletin boards in your classroom is also a big deal. So if you are getting your classroom ready for your kids to come back this year, what theme are you doing in your classroom? Can you tell me? Because I'm always amazed. I've got some friends who are teachers, and I am just amazed by the creativity of what teachers come up with. So tell us, if you're watching on Zoom, chat it. If you're watching on Facebook, put it in the comments, because Hope's going to tell me, because I like to hear what you guys are doing. It amazes me with what fun stuff you guys come up with. All right, so we are going to start with some ribbon now. So we'll come back and we'll add more Deco Mesh in, but once you got a good base started, move some of this out of the way so you guys can start to see. I'm a messy crafter. I got stuff everywhere. All right, so you can start to see it's coming, and you want to make sure that you're getting the shape that you want. So kind of frill and floof as you go. Those are not official crafting terms, but they're in the Lily Book of Crafting terms. So we're going to do the same thing with our ribbon. Wired ribbon works best when you are doing this project because you want to be able to bend and twirl your ribbon So it helps kind of fill in some gaps and it stands up out of your wreath. So we're going to start to add in the same thing. We twist it with our pipe cleaner, add it on to the rim of the wreath, and then we can curl it and start to bend it. So we'll kind of alternate. Remember, I have this leftover yellow, so we can cut that into 2 pieces. And if you want to finish off your wreaths nicely with flagged ends, all you do is you fold it over and you cut at a downward angle. You want to make sure your scissors are pretty sharp, especially if it's a wired one, and you get that really nice finish at the end. So again, I'm going to do this on this side. Okay, really nice finish right there at an angle. All right, and then we are going to add these in. Hope, do we have some classroom themes or some more shout outs?
We do have a classroom theme.
Okay, let's hear it.
Maria's is superheroes and the desert.
Ooh, superheroes and the desert. Oh my gosh, I want to kind of see how that comes together. So if you can share pictures, make sure you use the hashtag Make It With Michaels so that we can see that, because I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
And Jacqueline says that they're thinking either superheroes or Harry Potter.
Okay, superheroes or Harry Potter. Seems like superheroes is going to be the big thing this year, right? It seems like superheroes is going to be the trend. All right, so I'm going to alternate my ribbons, and then this is the part where you guys are going to keep going. So I'm not going to keep you here all day. We wanted to keep this class to 30 minutes, but you can start to see how the fullness of this is coming together. So what you'll keep doing if you're doing this along with me, after this would end, you would just keep filling this in with your ribbon and your Deco Mesh. I like to say this is probably about an hour-ish project, depending on how fast you work. By the time you cut all the things, take about an hour to make this wreath. All right, so you cut and just keep adding in all of your colors. And then remember, we've got our sign that we made. And we put our wire in, and our wire is now dry under our hot glue base that we created for it. And we will bend this back. And once you've got your fullness that you would like, you're going to bend your wire and you're going to attach it to the base of your wreath. Okay, so you would just wrap it back around here. You can twist it a couple times. So I'm just, if you guys can see, I'm twisting back through here. Remember, my wreath would be a lot more full because it's been a little bit more time. And we get it in place where we'd like it. And then you can floof. If you think you need more things to floof in, you definitely can. The last step, I'm going to pull up the one that I have done, and we're going to add in some pencils. Okay, so I'm going to move this guy, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to bring the other one into the top-down camera to show you the one that I made ahead of time. And you guys can get a better idea of how full it is, right? So I've got a lot of stuff in there, right? So I really fold mine up. There's a really nice kind of cushion. You can see kind of how deep it is underneath, and you don't see really any of that poop. So again, we sleeve our ribbons, and then something fun where my pencils. If you want to add some more supplies to it, you can. So I'm going to grab some of my pencils. What I would do is I would take my pencils and I figure out where I want to stick them in first. So you can kind of stick them around and then come back with your hot glue. See where you want them all first, because they will kind of stick right in there. And then you can come back with your hot glue and then glue them into place. You'll want to probably glue them to a ribbon so that they stick to something. So we'll glue these. And while I'm gluing these final ones, Hope, let's do some final shout outs.
Yep, we have Carrie watching from Pennsylvania.
Hi, Carrie from Pennsylvania.
Heather in New York.
Hey, Heather from New York. Thanks for tuning in.
Kim is watching in Kentucky.
Hi, Kim from Kentucky.
And Edna is watching from Minnesota.
Hi, Edna from Minnesota. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, what do you guys think? Do you guys like it? I would love to know if you like it. Give me a heart, give me a thumbs up if you're watching on Facebook. Tell us in the comments if you like it. If you're watching on Zoom, always love your feedback. You guys know that if you're fellow watchers on Facebook, I am typically live every Wednesday on Michael's Facebook page at 1 p.m. Eastern. We switch things up this week and next week. But make sure that you're following over there so you get those notifications. All right, what do you guys think? Can we switch to the front camera and I'll hold it up? Ta-da! Hopefully my pencils, yep, my pencils are dry. What do you guys think? I love it. I'm so excited to give this to my daughter's teacher. And I'm gonna make one for her teacher this year. We just don't know who it is yet. So she's going into 4K this year, but I think it's a lot of fun and you guys can put your own spin on it, which I love. And I know all of my teachers watching are super creative. So if you do make this, please make sure that you use the hashtag Michael's Classes and Make It with Michael's so we can see what you make. I always love to check those hashtags out after I teach a class here on Zoom or after our weekly Facebook broadcasts. So quick reminder, if you are a follower on Facebook and you're used to our Wednesdays broadcast, we're going to be live again on Thursday next week at 1 p.m. Eastern. We're going to do the dual broadcast again. So we're going to be here on Zoom. We will also be live on Facebook. We'll drop the link to where you can sign up on Zoom, but I'm really excited about next week. So those of you may have seen that We Are Memory Keepers is launching Print Maker. It is a handheld printer that prints on a gazillion, not the right number, but it's a lot of different surfaces, from fabric to leather to paper. It is so cool. I've had my hands on one for a few weeks now, and I've been keeping this secret, and I'm so excited to share it with you. So I will be sharing a project with you. We'll be making bows and a top knot headband next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern on Zoom. So we'll drop the link so you can sign up and get the reminder. And we'll also be broadcasting on Facebook at 1 p.m. Eastern. And I'm going to show you how it works in other surfaces too. So you're going to get the whole lowdown on this new product that is available at Michael's very soon. So make sure that you tune in for that. I want to see you guys here. Thank you so much for watching. You all are amazing. Be kind and inspire someone today. And I'll see you next week. Bye, friends.